Hi there, welcome to Subpar Stitches. My name is Hillary and this is my Flosstube channel. One day I'll figure out the lighting situation. Today is not that day. I don't know. I just feel like it looks a little dark. Can't tell. Anyways, so today I'm just back with my regular 2-week Flosstube update. I've got a medium amount of stuff, I guess. So let's hop right into it with the shout outs. I'm slowly working through my massive backlog of floss tubes that I've been saving since like December. And I watched somebody called Pansy Stitches who she just posted for the first time in kind of a while, like a few months, I think she said. And she had a bunch of really great finishes at the beginning of her video. And she seems to stitch like a lot of really cute and beautiful things. And she's also, like I mentioned before, that I really liked Eli from Thick Threads because he's kind of like softer, gentler spoken. And she's kind of the same way, very like chill. Like it's not like she's low energy. It's just that the way she comes across is very like calming. And so I really enjoyed watching her most recent video, and I hope she gets back to posting regularly because I feel like I watched a couple of her videos a while ago and I, added her to my like subscriptions, and then I just didn't see her again for a while. So it was nice to see her video again. So I will have her link down below if you guys want to check her out. And that is the only new Flosstuber I've watched so far. Like I said, my backlog is massive right now. And I'm trying to like go through it in a way where I actually am absorbing the content and not just running it to run it, because I want to actually like watch these people. Hopefully next week I'll have another new one for you, or in 2 weeks I'll have another new one for you. Next up is FFOs, and I do have one. I have one this time. I know that some people really hate finishing Biscornus. I'm not one of those people. I find it kind of relaxing. Once all the stitching and the back stitching is done, stitching it together is really just like methodical, so I really like it. This is the third one that I've finished. This is the Piero Biscornu. It's by Rowan and Rose, and here is the top, and that button, I really like that. And then here is the bottom. You can see it's the same on all four sides. And I don't think that that button really covers up too much of that center stitching. And then, you can see from the sides, one is bordered in red, one is bordered in black, and then it's stitched together with white. So you have this kind of like tri-color effect here. So I didn't stuff this one as much as I stuffed the other two. And I'm glad I didn't, because I was really struggling to sew the center button on. That's the only part I don't like, because it's like, you're like squeezing it together, trying to sew through all these layers and aim correctly so that you get into the hole of the button. And God forbid I get up and get a thimble to protect my stupid hands. No, I won't do that. I refuse. So I end up like stabbing myself 10,000 times, and I'm like, God, I hope I don't bleed on my project. But I finished this in, I don't know, just under an hour, and I'm very happy with it. This was stitched on, I think it was 18 count? 16 or 18, I can't remember, probably 18. 18 count Lagoon Ada by Picture This Plus. I didn't really like this Ada because it was almost too soft. So I was just trying to use it up, to be quite honest with you. But very, very cute. And I'm gonna throw it with the other Biscornus that are on my floor. Don't ask me why they're on my floor, I don't know. Next up, we have FOs, which are finished objects. And I finished my most recent work small, which is Coffee Time by Ink Circles. This was completely done in Classic Colorworks on a 32 count even weave that I dyed myself. I believe I named it Baby Blue. I already finished Tea Time. Now I have Coffee Time, and then I have Cocoa Time on the go. So then once I have all three, I will find 3 matching, just covering my face up here. I will find 3 matching frames and then hang them above my drink bar in my apartment. I didn't really care as much about the Coffee Time one because I'm a big tea drinker, but then recently I've become like obsessed with lavender lattes because I love the taste of hand soap for some reason. And we have an espresso machine and like Tarani syrups, And so I bought like a lavender one and started making them at home. Now I don't have to pay like $9,000 when I go to a fancy cafe because I can make my own lavender lattes. So that was my only finish. I think it's either my 9th or my 10th finish of the year so far, which is pretty good. You know, we're only in February. As far as new starts go, I don't have any. I guess I could put this in plans, but I'm not going to. I don't have any new starts yet, but I am in the process of recharting the Nature Walk Sal into Stitch Fiddle so that I can use it in Pattern Keeper, because I want to start that on the first day of spring, which is that March 20th? I can't remember. But I have plans to make that a new start. And the magazine, it's just too small and blurry, and it's such a pain, and there's so many color changes. I just think it'll be easier to use a digital copy. So I'm just recharting the spring quadrant for now because I don't want to rechart the whole thing in one sitting. Like, it's taking too much time. So I'm just going to rechart the spring quadrant, and then as we get closer to summer, if I can get enough of the spring quadrant done, I'll start recharting the summer one. So far, none of my new starts have really been planned this year, so this will be the first one that's like vaguely planned. Next up, we have WIPs, or works in progress. And the first one I just put one additional day in there since the last time you guys saw it. And this is the Steampunk Series Valentine Factory by Twin Peak Primitives. And I'm stitching this on a 36 count cold foam even weave by Bestitch Me. I love this fabric. And I'm using DMC. So here is where it was the last time. This is not my typical color palette. So I was like worried about choosing, I'm always worried about choosing fabric because I'm not good at like color pairing and color theory and all that. But man, once I got started on this, I was like, this is going pretty quick. This is easy. The colors are in big chunks on this, so it is pretty quick to stitch. I've never stitched anything by Twin Peak Primitives. So I did end up, after I enjoyed this one so much, I went and I checked out their website, and they're like, they have a lot of goofy, interesting stuff that I like, but they also have like a lot of religious and patriotic, which is not something I stitch. So it's like kind of like half and half for me. But let me just shut up and show you the actual WIP now. So last time I know I had most of the word done. I went ahead and finished the word, and then this is like the woman's hat. So I did the tomato, and then I outlined where the hat will be, and then I just saved that for when I just need some basic fill-in time, because there's a lot of black stitches there. But if I hold it, that's a little bit more true to the color there. And this is a really thin even weave, which it's easy to work with, just you don't want to carry too much because of how light the color is, which I don't really think you need to carry on this. I started and stopped in between every letter so that there wouldn't be any carrying, but aside from that, the only place I carried was on this here. And on the front, I don't think you can really tell because it's such a lighter color for that border piece there. So I'm excited to get back to this. I don't know when. It's really wrinkly because I didn't put it in a bag. I literally just did this and like threw it in the bucket next to me. So I need to find a bag for this. But yeah, so I'm stitching this with Karen from Stitching Past My Bedtime. She suggested it, and it's really fun. I'm pretty sure she's doing hers 1/1, which is that's like her thing. That's where I got obsessed with 1/1 from. So thanks, Karen, for ruining my life. Up next, we have the Epic Pokemon Gen 1 by Lord Libidin, who's surprised. You guys see this every video. This is being stitched on an 18 count white Aida by Kato, fully in DMC. Oh my god. So, on President's Day, I put in over 1,300 stitches because I had the day off work. And I was determined to get the entire left side filled out as much as I could so that I could fit the remainder into one hoop and just start color completing. And I'm happy to report that I did achieve that. It's not coming out of the hoop again until it must. So I am here with it. I finished all of the 310. Yesterday I put in the last stitches of 310, and then I swapped to, because that was, the 310 was the one I had the most stitches left on. And then I grabbed like 3 or 4 of the ones that had like the least. So there was literally one stitch of this. I don't even know if you guys can see it. There's like a light blue up by the wing. There was like one stitch. This blue right here, this red right here. I just put in like a few that only had less than 10 stitches, just because the last thing I want is to finish all the big chunks and then be stuck doing all this color changing at the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish a color that has like a ton left. Then I'll grab a few that have very few. And then I'll go back and forth. So I did that. I did a few of the little ones. And then I started in on this light blue right here. This is 157, and that's like the next most. There's like a 900 stitches left of that. So I'll probably finish that one up next week. And the only part I won't be able to finish is it's down in this corner here, and I just out of reach there. I could probably shift this over a little bit and get it, but it was such a pain to get this in the hoop because it's like a pretty tight, like the space that I left, pretty tight to fit in here. So I think that because it's one solid color in the corner there, that can be like the last bit that I stitch when I eventually fill all the rest of this in and move the hoop. But it's crazy to see all that white space being filled up now. I have the full piece. I've got, I don't know how many colors I have left. Yesterday I finished like 5 colors though, so that was a good, even though some of them only had like 1 or 2 stitches. But we're honing in. We're almost there. I can't believe it. So this is going away for the rest of the week. I didn't quite finish 2,000 stitches this week. I got around 1,800. But maybe I'll do 200 more tonight. I don't know. But I'm enough ahead that I'm still on track to my goal, and I still have like a buffer of like 700 stitches. So I might just set it aside and do something else for a little bit because, brother, there was a couple times with the black where I miscounted and I had to like rip out like 100 stitches at a time. It was just like, and then today, I have a headache. I had to leave work early, like at 3, and come home and just take a nap because I had such a headache. So I don't know if I want to deal with something that big right now. So that is my current large whip that I'm working on. My current medium whip is the Slumber Party Sal by Sewing Starfish. I still haven't cleaned up the mess that's next to me that I'm never going to show you guys. I need to do it this weekend. But this is being stitched on an 18 count black Ada by Zweigart using all DMC. And I got the lower left corner done. And so I think I'm going to hop up to the other side. Let me show you guys. So here's where I got to. I finished, I think the TV finished last time I showed you guys? Let me pull it back. But I did finish this like shooting star. I did the toothpaste. There's a little hand mirror and then a jukebox or radio or whatever you want to call it with a microphone. And then I pulled the border over as far as I could with where it was in the hoop. So now what I think I'm going to do is come over to this side and start pulling that border down and filling in motifs. And then that way, when I'm done, I can just go fully in the center and hopefully the border will be mostly done at that point. I think I can probably fit what remains of the border into the hoop. But yeah, we're chugging along on this very, very pink and purple whip. So there's one motif in here that I'm not looking forward to doing, not because it's not cute, but it's like this cake, and I think it's like in here somewhere, and it's got a ton of like 1 or 2 stitches in there. Like I looked at it on Pattern Keeper and I was like, oh gosh, that's like 90 colors in there and it's going to be such a pain. But I think it's looking nice so far. I'll probably turn this into a project bag. I think that would be cute. I put it in this bag that I made with this cute fabric, so don't look too closely at the stitching on the bag. It's not good. And then my last whip is my newest small whip that I take and I work on at work with me. This is the Rolodex Morning Sampler. This one replaced Coffee Time in my rotation. It's by Bendy Stitchy. It's on a 28 count sand even weave by Picture This Plus. It uses Gentle Arts, Classic Colorworks, DMC, And it uses one color in cotton, but I couldn't find it, so I just used the DMC replacement. And this is the last 1/1 project that I have in my rotation currently, so I need to find another one. But here is, oh, there's a floss on it. So here is where I got to today. I was stitching at work, and then I got the headache and I was like, I gotta go home. But last you guys had seen, it was just like I had all the lettering, I had most of this border, and then I had some of the weeping willow tree. Well, this week I added a bunch of the weeping willow. I did this whole gate and everything that's down here. And I am delusional, and I've told myself that I can finish this by the end of next week, which is not true. There's no way, because all of this is like full coverage along the bottom here, and these leaves here take kind of a while just because there's a lot of them in that weeping willow. And then this isn't even all the way to the bottom, right? So there's another color that goes down here, and I was gonna fill that in today, and then I couldn't find the floss in my bag, and I had accidentally dropped the bag at my desk, and like a couple flosses fell out, so I was like paranoid. But then I was like, no, I swear it's not here. So I called my husband on my lunch and I was like, are you working from home today? And he's like, yeah, why? I was like, I need you to do something for me right now. And he's like, yeah, what is it? I was like, I need you to go into my office and go into my DMC chests and tell me if you can find 3021 in there. And he's like, DCM, got it. And I was like, no, but okay. So he goes in and he like turns his camera on, and of course it's like front facing, so he's just like doing one of these, and I'm like, brother. And he opens it up and he finds it, like I just hadn't packed it, but I was just like, I was gonna freak out about this all day because I have the Pip and Chip bobbins and they're not cheap, and I didn't want to lose one and then have to order literally one bobbin. Not doing that. And they all have to match. I'll freak out. So, but yeah. This is super cute. I really like doing 1/1 stitching, especially on a 28 count. It's probably the easiest one to do it on. But like the design, for some reason, it's like I don't want to do it with everything. It has to call to me. Like the design has to call to me to be like a 1/1. Like I did the artsy housewife beach rat. I did that 1/1. That was actually my first 1/1 project. And I really like how like cute and tight and compact it looks. Trying to see if there's any other 1/1s on my wall. There's not. But this one, the reason I did this one 1/1 is because I wanted to do it on this fabric, but there wasn't enough to do it 2/2. So I was like, all right, 1/1 it is. And I think with these like leaves like this, it looks really, really nice. The only thing is when I was like stitching these graves, I was like, they almost look too tiny. I don't know. But with this like wrought iron gate and stuff, with it being that tiny, the 1/1 lettering, I just think this looks really fun. So I'm excited to finish that up. It's on like 4 pages. I have a paper pattern. I've finished most of one page, and then the second page I've just got mostly the bottom to do, and then the other 2 pages, they're not full pages, so I might be able to finish it next week if I really buckle down and have no work to do. Could maybe finish it. I was checking to make sure I put 3021 in there. I would have thrown a fit. And I classified that one as a small, but I'm fairly certain it's probably, if it's not in my medium classification, which is anything 10,000 stitches and over, then it's probably on the cusp. When it's so small, you don't realize how many stitches there are. But because it's a lot of block stitching, it's really easy. And because it's so small, it's really easy. So I don't mind taking it to work. Medium projects, they're like ones that are either kind of on the bigger side or have like a lot of finicky color changes or something like that. That's how I classify it, because it's not something that's so easy to do at work. I don't want to have to like spread all my crap out on my desk, because it's like, you know, I'm at work. I don't want my boss being like, what the hell are you doing? Because it's like I do my job, but then I work a type of job where there's a lot of downtime right up until there's not, because you're just waiting for something bad to happen and then you got to fix it. And so I don't want to have to like push all this stuff aside when something comes up. So as far as other crafts go, I'm still working on my video game scarf for my brother, which I'm going to give to him for his birthday / grad school graduation. And so you can see this is the marker where I was last time. I'm doing 7 rows a day. And so I finished this guy's face right here. There's like some cherries. This guy, I like his weird cone head. I liked doing the video game controller. And now, so this is like the halfway mark right here. And I'm almost done with page 5 at this point. There's 9 pages, so we're getting close. No, we're not. We're like halfway. And then this right here, I haven't finished this yet. I'll finish it tomorrow, but there's like a little tail. It's a shrimp. It's a little piece of shrimp. And so now all the guys are going to be upside down going forward. But I am loving this. I don't want to give it to him. I want to keep it for myself. This is my favorite cousin. This is Miso. His head is a bowl of soup. And then there's like a little paper clip. And yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff. I need to move the marker. I feel like I didn't get as far this time as I did last time. I've been waking up in the morning to get my rows in. Well, not solely I'm not waking up early just to knit. That would be crazy. But I've been waking up trying to get my sleep schedule back on track once again for the 9 millionth time in my life. And my husband's also trying to finally get on a decent sleep schedule, so we both force each other to wake up at 6:15. And on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I've been exercising in the morning and then doing some rows. And then on Tuesday, Thursday, I'm not like working out in the morning, so I can usually finish my rows. So like this morning, I was able to finish all my rows, so I don't have to do any more now. But on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I usually can get about 5, maybe 6 if I'm really hustling. And then I have to get out the door, so I have to come home and like do one more row. And that's really all I did for other crafts. So haul, I don't have anything. So let's go right over to plans. So Pokemon, I'm still on the same trajectory. I will finish it by the last week of April, which is great, but it also feels kind of weird. But still doing roughly 2,000 stitches a week. That hasn't changed. And like I said, I will be doing color completing from now on, switching between the largest amount of stitched color and the smallest. I think it was Stitchin' Mommy was doing this for one of her projects, and I was like, oh, that sounds kind of fun. So I will do that as well. The Slumber Party Sal, if I stay on track with my current stitch count, which is roughly 1,500 in a weekend, the trajectory of a finish will be the last week of March. So you'll probably see this a couple more times. I do have, it's like my first 1-year wedding anniversary this weekend. So I don't know if I'll get as much in because I guess I'm gonna hang out with my husband. I'm just kidding. I like him. He's cool. But yeah, it's our first wedding anniversary, and then our second first wedding anniversary will be on March 22nd. So we got married twice in the same month because we had to have a religious ceremony and then we had our like public ceremony, and we decided we celebrate both of them because who doesn't need a little bit more celebration? He doesn't watch these videos, so I'm going to show you guys what I got him. So traditional 1 year is a paper gift, and then they have like a modern twist one, which was clocks, but like I'm not buying. My husband is time blind. He has ADHD, so I'm not getting him a clock. But he's always talked about wanting a watch really bad and wanting to start like getting into watches. And he keeps talking about this Hatsune Miku Seiko watch, and I was like, I'm not. First of all, it was limited edition. I can't spend $1,000 on a Hatsune Miku watch. I'm sorry, I love you, but I don't have that kind of money right now. But I did still go and get him a Seiko watch because they do have a good reputation. And it's hard to see in this lighting, but the face is like a racing green and like a deep racing green. And I had bought him for Christmas a wallet that is that color. And so I think this will be a really nice starter piece to a watch collection if he gets into that. But I just thought it looked really classy, and it was something nice that he could wear. And I feel like it still fits in the clocks thing. I really want to give gifts based on the anniversary, like traditional anniversary list, and I'm gonna pick whether I want to go full traditional or like the modern traditional, whatever you call it. But like there was nothing I could think of for paper for him, because he preferred, like, any kind of book that he reads, he likes to read it digitally. He's one of those types of people. I'm the opposite. I prefer like a physical book. Even RPGs, all his RPG books, he doesn't want the physical copy. He wants a digital copy because for him it's just easier to flip around through. So I was like, paper's out. We're gonna figure out how to make clocks work. I don't know how I got on that tangent. Oh, the slumber party style. Yeah, so we're gonna be hanging out. We're gonna be cooking together and just like watching stuff, and probably I'll have time to stitch because I can watch stuff and stitch, but we'll see if I manage to hit the 1500 this weekend. And then I'm going to keep going on the Rolodex morning sampler, see if I can't finish it by the end of next week. And then it's just hard to say because I don't know the stitch count. Why am I holding my hair? I don't know the stitch count because it's a paper pattern. So the delusional part of me believes I can finish it, but the logical part of my brain is like, you're a moron. I don't know. But if I do finish that, then my next small that I will be working on is Arranging Pasta by Ink Circles. And that one had the weakest start ever, like maybe 200 stitches in it. So that one needs some love. So the last segment I have is Reading, Watching, Playing. And this is just where I talk about the things that I've been reading, watching, and playing. Go figure. So reading, you guys are going to think I hate books because every book that I've come to you with, I'm like, I hated it. I didn't like it. I hated it. Well, I read a couple books and I didn't really like them. So, I don't know. There are books that I like. I like to read, but it's just, I pick a lot of duds, I guess. So the first book that I listened to this on audiobook was Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. The white lady main character is so cringe, which is literally the point of the book. It is the point. I can recognize that. But I was just like, the whole way through, I was just like, like, I don't know. And then it just kept referencing Twitter a bunch and Instagram, which always like throws me out of a book. I hate when books reference like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all that. I'm just like, I don't want social media like in my books. I don't know. And like the story was good. It's just like, I wanted to beat up the main character. She was so annoying. And I don't hate like a book where you're supposed to dislike the main character. I know there are some people who are like, I need someone that I can like. That wasn't my problem. I just was like, dang, I just want to fight this lady. And like, I've heard this author's so popular. And so I thought like, maybe I should try another book by her. But then I looked up what she writes and it looks like mainly like dark academia and like fantasy and stuff like that, which is not my thing at all. So I just probably won't read anything else by her. It's just one of those things where it's like, she's not a bad author. She's just not for me. It's just not my style. So I thought the book was good and I would recommend reading it. It's not like it was like a long read. Not that I read it. I had it read to me. But it was just not like one that made me want to run and read other stuff by that author. So this book, the next book, I feel horrible saying this. I read this yesterday in like one go. And it's called I Want to Die, But I Want to Eat Tteokbokki, and it's by Baek Se-hee. She's a Korean author, or she was a Korean author, who passed away last year at, I think, the age of 35, and her parents didn't release, like, how she died, which, based on the subject matter of her books, I think it's probably fairly easy to speculate, which is maybe why I feel bad saying I thought this book was like the worst book I've ever read. I read this on the Kindle app. It's one that I've been wanting to read for a really long time because the title really drew me in, mostly because I love tteokbokki. Like, and also sometimes I'm like, yeah, bro, kill me, please. But this book didn't really feel like a book. It was like transcripts from her psychiatry and her talking about like she was diagnosed with dysthymia, which is like a low grade, like almost like permanent depression. And it just was like conversations with her psychiatrist and like her talking about like having like low self-esteem and stuff like that. And how she was like, oh, I think I drink too much. And her psychiatrist was like, well, just drink less. And I was like, not the best advice. That's not how that works, but okay. And then I finished it and I was like, I hated that. So I came home and I went to my husband and I was like, all right, I need you to like check me on this. I was like, am I reading this too westernized? And he was basically like, yes, you are 100% reading this from a Western point of view, because like all the stuff that's going on in this book, like from a Korean perspective, because this book was viewed as like very profound, because she released like transcripts from her therapy and stuff like that. And like in America, it's like, so like everybody goes to therapy. Like at least everybody I know. It's like, bro, I've been in therapy since I was 6 years old. Like my brother like fell down the stairs. It was a whole thing and almost died. And then my parents put me in therapy. So, but it's like, I feel like therapy is so normalized in my life that I've kind of forgot that in Korea, therapy's not as viewed as like so normal. And so for her to have released these transcripts and put a little commentary in there, it was kind of a big deal to talk about so openly. And then when I brought up the whole like, oh, she's talking about how she drinks too much, and her therapist was like, well, do you drink so much because you have a problem, or you drink so much because you just don't realize you're drinking that much? And like they very like dismissive of like what could be perceived as alcoholism. My husband was like, yeah, he's like, that's just the culture. And I was like, okay, well, if you're going to read this book, it took me like 2 hours. I'm not mad that I read it. I just probably should have went into it with a different perspective. So I highly recommend, if you're going to read I Want to Die, But I Want to Eat the Cookie, to maybe go into it with more of an open mind than I thought I had, but I didn't, apparently. So, and there's a sequel to it. She wrote like a follow-up. I'm not going to read it. I just couldn't, I don't know. But don't look at this one through a Western lens, because everything that I complained about and was like, I don't get this, I don't get that. My husband was like, that's just Korea. That's just Korea. That's just Koreans. And I was like, I guess you would know. My bad. Then as far as watching, we're rewatching NBC Hannibal because I'm obsessed with Mads Mikkelsen. And I love that show. If you don't like gory stuff, maybe not for you. But it's a really good retelling of like Hannibal and like Silence of the Lambs and stuff like that. It's 3 seasons. It's on Amazon Prime right now. And it is so beautifully shot and just well acted. I really, really like it. I think it's so funny because I was on Tumblr when this show was coming out, and like it was a big part of like the Tumblr community, unfortunately. And I just remember the Hannibal Tumblr being so fun to interact with. And I remember people would get so mad on Tumblr and they'd be like, the show's not gay. What are you talking about? This show's not gay. And like the first time we watched this, we were watching it in the living room, and we had a roommate at the time, and our roommate was just like, I don't understand why everybody says this is gay. Like, this show isn't gay. And I'm like, brother, this show is gay as hell. And even my husband, who was just my boyfriend at the time, he's like, you read too much into this. Like, this isn't gay. By the time we got to the end of season 3, he was like, okay, this is pretty gay. Which to me, that's a seal of, if it's a gay-ass show, I want to watch it. So I really liked it. If you like gay cannibals, this is the show for you. And then I also started watching Superstore. I got into season 4 before my Disney Plus subscription ran out, so I got to renew that to finish it. But Tara and her partner recommended it to me, and I'm obsessed with the character Dina. Like, from episode 1, I was like, that's me. I'm her. We are one and the same. And she's just so, like, aggressive and insane. And then my husband walked in while I was watching it, and he was just like, who's that character? I was like, oh, that's Dina. And he's like, I like her. She's a good character. And then he walked out, and I felt very, like, validated. I was like, I'm glad you like the really, like, butchy woman, because that's who I am. And then as far as playing goes, nothing. I haven't been playing anything. I haven't made time for video games. There is a new game coming out that I'm interested in, though, called Rat Coin, which is going to sound so stupid, but I really love those, like, coin pusher games where you, like, slot the quarters in and then it pushes coins and prizes off. and it's literally the video game version of that, but it's like a raccoon who like runs the joint or whatever. My dad used to take me to the county fair, and we would just drop so much money playing that game. And then when I moved to Japan, I found those in the arcades, and I would literally take like the equivalent of like $100, and I would take the train into the city like once a month, and I would just zone in and just play the game for hours. And my husband found this game that is coming out on Steam, Coin, and he told me I need to get it. And I think it's because he's sick of taking me to round one, so I can spend all my money on the coin game. We call it the foot pusher game in my family, because the one at the fair, it had like these two clown feet that were like this, and it would like push the coins off. So yeah, that is all I have for you guys today. I will see you back here in a couple weeks, and hopefully I finish the Rolodex morning sampler, but probably not. So I guess we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye.